Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mean Gene Show here on ESPN 97.5 Houston. And it is so good to be back in the studios. I cannot believe. Actually, I had to put it in my GPS, man. That's bad because when we haven't been here since good Lord, AJ. I don't know how long. I mean,
Shoot, was it last in late 2024, I think?
yeah, it was early 2024, I think, because we took the break, remember?
You mean early 2025 then?
I meant early. No, early, late. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. I mean, early December is what I meant
Right,
to
right,
say.
right, right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good to be back. AJ, folks, look, and I knew AJ was lonely because when I walked in, man, he gave me this big old hug. And I'm like, hey, man, we back, man. All right, AJ, man, how you doing, brother?
Pretty good, can't complain, man. Just ready to talk some NFL and also about my boy Luca going to your team, though.
Oh,
Man.
yeah. I mean, this is going to be like, for the most part, all of our NFL fans here. I mean, the Super Bowl is going to be next week. We're going to talk about Super Bowl 59 because that is huge. Okay. That will be the story for this hour. But the second hour, we are going to transition to the NBA. Now, it's not like we haven't been following the NBA because we do. As a matter of fact, last night I was at the Houston Rockets game, and so I mean it's been there on the radar, but we just had to pick the right opportunity because this show is so heavily dominated NFL. But man, we are ready to talk about the NBA, and of course, what boy they sure gave us something to talk about, AJ, didn't they?
Absolutely.
I know. So Jacob Meadows not here today. It's just funny how Jacob just takes these days off, man. Leave me hanging and stuff. But we're gonna be okay because Jacob said, you know what? I'm gonna take the night off, but I'm gonna be in New Orleans next week because we got a big show next week in New Orleans at the French Quarter. I'll tell you all about that stuff. I mean, I can't believe 1 week left before Super Bowl 59. And look, okay, we're gonna talk about this Pro Bowl, whatever you want to call it. The
Pro Bowl
last
games.
Pro Bowl I went to was in Vegas. And it was just one of those things I just never covered, from a media standpoint. As a matter of fact, I didn't even cover that one from media standpoint. I bought a ticket to that game because I wanted to get it off my bucket list. Right now, I've been to several Super Bowls, you name it. I've been to it, but that one I just never. I just. But AJ, that Pro Bowl in Vegas a couple of years ago, it sucked because it's just like they play no defense, the East West format. It's one
Mhm.
of the worst things. But today's Pro Bowl, it really sucks. I mean, did you watch any of that mess today?
I watched a little of it, not all of it, but just some parts of it, basically.
Watching the Pro Bowl, I watched 15 minutes of it today, and I felt like I was at Dave and Buster's. I mean, that
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is this, right? So anyway, we'll talk about that. Okay, I know some people look. I mean, the folks down there in Orlando, because now that seems to be the designated place. Now, I have some of my military friends that were stationed over in Hawaii when the Pro Bowl used to be over there.
Right.
Now, and I think, and we always talk about that because families of the players always look forward to that trip to Hawaii,
Mhm.
which I mean, Hawaii is expensive as hell. So, but the fans over there and the military people that are stationed in Hawaii, they get free tickets, to see that because they don't get to see the NFL games every week,
Right.
But anyway, I don't. The NFL pulled it from Hawaii, and they brought it back to the states, and they moved it around to some of the locations. But I think they did it in Miami a couple of times. They did it in Vegas that year, and now I think it's permanently in Orlando at Camping World Stadium.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think how I mean, maybe why not just like mixing it up with different cities? I mean, like you said, it was in Vegas a couple of years ago, and Hawaii was a like destined place. I mean, it would be cool to just like do a tour, kind of like how they do with the draft.
Well, I
But I
think they
mean,
stuck now because it's so damn boring.
that's true.
You,
That
I
is
mean,
true. That
you
is
figured
true.
if you go to Florida, you can just knock off Disneyland and I mean Disney
Disney
World
World,
and
yeah.
SeaWorld and some other stuff because we gave tickets away a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
and to some ESPN listeners back, a few years ago, and
Right.
and they were like, "We really enjoyed Florida, but the game sucked." I'm like, "Well, thank you too, okay." I mean, they just didn't enjoy it. So we stopped doing that. You can't even give tickets away to the Pro Bowl. But if you just want to go to Florida and take your family to Disney World, I think that's always worth it. But anyway, so we're going to be talking Super Bowl 59 tonight. I think the teams arrived in New Orleans, like probably as we speak now.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to be arriving. Now, look, I know which hotels they're going to be staying at, but I cannot tell anybody because we know, I don't want people going down there harassing the Chiefs and the Eagles, but they're going to be checking into their hotels right there. I mean, they're going to be on Canal Boulevard. I can tell you that. I mean, that's the main. It won't be hard to find them. Trust me. They might even have a sign that says Chiefs uh, headquarters, and
Mhm.
I mean, I remember when they had the Super Bowl here in Houston. I think the Patriots stayed over at the JW Marriott
Oh,
about
okay.
2 blocks from here.
Right.
And I'm trying to think, where did the Falcons stay? I think they were at a Motel 6 over in South. No, I'm just playing.
Uh-huh.
No Motel 6.
Oh, not no motel. Oh my
But
gosh.
no, I
Nah.
don't know what they were somewhere around here.
Right.
But the Patriots got the nicer hotel,
Mhm.
of course. But anyway, so that's just some of the things. Tomorrow, I do know is media day. Now, if you have watched Media Day, you know what to expect. This is when all of the media, you're talking about some thousand members of the media will be in New Orleans, and they will be at the Ernest Morial Convention Center, is where they're going to have it at. So that's when the players will make themselves available. And this is when they ask some of the dumbest questions that you can ever come up with. Now, I don't even know how you get a press pass for some of the questions that some of these people, I remember. And AJ, this is not a joke.
Mhm.
One of the dumbest questions that came from a member of the media, they asked Donovan, was it Donovan McNabb?
When he was on the
Um,
Eagles?
yes. How long have you been a black quarterback?
Ye wait, what is
The
that?
question was, how long have you been a black quarterback?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, he sat there and, well, let me think about it. How about all my damn life?
Right, exactly. That's crazy.
So, I mean, it happens. It happens. And then tomorrow you will see it will be some dumb questions. And this is crazy. So anyway, it's the Super Bowl opening night, sponsored by Gatorade at the Caesar Superdome. So between 7 and 8, I think this is probably going to be Central Times, if I'm not mistaken. So the Philadelphia Eagles are going to take the stage first, and then the Chiefs will come and do the 9 to 10. So they'll get that out the way. But anyway, so the players will make themselves available for the media for the most part of the week before they have to shut it down. No cameras, no nothing. They have like these pool reporters are the only ones that they would let watch practice and stuff. So it's a fun event, and like I said, I've had the pleasure since being in this business for 25 years, 4 Super Bowls, and I have been to probably, I don't know, 10, 15 Super Bowl events. Like this week, next weekend,
Mhm.
we're not going to the Super Bowl, but we will be, at those events. And I was just telling you, AJ, before we even got on the air, one of the biggest events that I'm looking forward to next week, we did get an invite to the Super Bowl breakfast. And this is where GMs, owners, players, they will all be there. And this is where they give the Bart Star Award. And that's for that, player that does extraordinary things in the community. Just a big, big, big award. Last year, Minka Fitzpatrick won the award for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this year, and maybe some home cooking, I don't know, Cameron Jordan is going to be the winner of next Saturday's um, um, Super Bowl breakfast or Bart Star Award, and he plays with the New Orleans Saints. So you got to give the home team something, right?
Right.
And they still don't have a coach, do they?
Yeah, it's looking like it'll be Kellen Moore after the Super Bowl though, but yeah, this is a bad, like, time not to have a coaching staff set, yeah.
Well, look, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but man, I just find it so weird that Mike McCarthy, your boy, did not get a job. So he comes out a couple of weeks ago and just makes this blanket statement that says, well, you know what? I think we're just going to set it out 2025. Well, hell, you didn't have no damn choice. You didn't get a job.
Right, yeah.
And I thought he was going to get the Chicago job.
You thought so?
I, I, I
They
really
wanted to interview
did
him.
because
Yeah.
because it's that division, and he coached the Green Bay Packers. I just figured it would have been really interesting. But once Caleb Williams came out with that blanket statement that said, I want an offensive minded coach. So I don't know where you put Mike McCarthy at now. What was he? Was he an offensive or defensive guy? I can't remember.
Well, he caught the plays, the
So he was an
past
offensive
2
guy
years, so I
then.
mean, yeah, essentially.
Okay, so I don't know, but anyway, I mean they got their guy Ben Johnson, right? And but I just didn't see the fit for Mike McCarthy in New Orleans for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
either.
and that was the only job. All the other jobs were filled.
Right, exactly. It's kinda
So
like last in ways though, well, not the exact same, but, like, remember, I think the Commanders was the last job, and then Dan Quinn went there, and their fans felt like they settled and stuff. I'm not comparing the Saints situation because it's totally different, but, like, at this point, you're just trying to get whoever just to finally get a coaching staff, but
and who knew Dan Quinn would fit in so
right,
well?
exactly.
But Ron Rivera, who was also a defensive minded guy, he held that job down for a while.
Right, mhm.
So, and I think what they, Dan Quinn is a leader, just a leader, and he's been a head coach before.
Yeah,
So had Ron Rivera. So I mean, look, it worked out pretty good for them, right?
right, exactly.
So, but I mean, look, we all know Mike McCarthy's playing it safe because, um, look, we know next year somebody's gonna get fired. It happens.
I wonder, has there, like, ever been a year where, like, no coaches were fired?
I doubt it. I mean, well, maybe at the head coach level, maybe because a defensive coordinator, those guys they don't get fired. Sometimes they just leave on their own, or
Right.
especially the playoff guys. I can't remember. That's a good one. I just the way the NFL is right now, I would say no,
Yeah, there's always someone that's
because
yeah,
somebody's
lost.
going to get fired.
Right.
And but what we have seen here lately is this one and done stuff.
Yeah.
That is something that I'm not used to seeing in the NFL. I mean, normally 2 years, you might, get a chance to see how things are going to go, implement your leadership style, your whatever, and ownership might wait, but not anymore. We saw what happened with Steve Wilkes. We saw what happened with a lot of these coaches,
Lovie
Vance
Smith,
Johnson.
Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, Antonio Pierce, and it happens one and done, and Gerard Mayo,
Yeah.
which was just didn't make any damn sense. Don't
Nope.
even get me started on that, AJ. You know how I feel about that. But anyway, we got a big show for you today. Okay, a lot of stuff to talk about here just to get you up to date with the latest going on in New Orleans. Folks are heading down there. I will be down there next Friday. Cannot wait. But anyway, stick around. It's the Mean Gene Show on ESPN 97.5 Houston.
You're listening to The Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
He's been good with that. I'd say that's been a consistency. You can really see as the season builds up, he's even more focused, and you get to this time of the year, he's really locked in.
All right, we are back, folks. That was head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, talking about Patrick Mahomes and his Chiefs, and look, I tell you what, there are a lot of people here, and we won't make any Super Bowl selections until next week. We're gonna do it live on the spot there from the French Quarter next week, me and Jacob Meadows. But it's just kind of nice to see where teams are. Like I said, tomorrow night they will be asked a lot of dumb questions, and hopefully one ask Mahomes how long has he been a black quarterback? Because but that did happen, okay. And one of my friends just said, "Really? Did that happen to me, Gene?" Yeah, it did. It did. And but I have seen. I mean, there are even more stupid questions, and it's just the players know they know to expect it tomorrow. But back to Andy Reid. A lot of folks, AJ, they don't want the Chiefs to win, but so many people are an Andy Reid fan. Andy Reid is hard not to like, even though you may not like the Chiefs. But I just think back to all those years he spent in Philly, and they just basically ran him out of there because he would always win the NFC Championship or make it to the NFC Championship game, maybe not win, but he just always came up short. And then that one Super Bowl, of course, he just had that title of, hey, you just can't get there, second place, second place. But now look what he did. With Kansas City hired Andy Reid, the best damn thing they ever done.
Exactly, and then you see him having a franchise quarterback at Patrick Mahomes, what he's been able to help them two together being a tandem, being a great head coach and quarterback duo. So I think that he really does deserve it, especially for that flack in that time that he spent in Philadelphia. Because just even taking Donovan McNabb to the Super Bowl, I mean, that was a good thing there. McNabb was a really good quarterback, but you run into the Patriots, I mean, can't blame him for losing that necessarily. That's a dynasty right there. But I think he's waited hard for this. He worked hard for this, and like something like Jalen Hurts has said, like time and time again, it wasn't his time, but this has been his time now with the Chiefs getting these Super Bowls and potentially a fourth one here.
Yeah, and it's just funny that he's going up against his old team there.
Right.
You
The
know,
second
and
time too.
yeah, second time. This is just crazy here. And I mean, he left that organization in pretty good shape, kind of set the
Right.
standard. So
Maybe,
to
hey,
speak.
maybe since they ran him out, maybe this is a payback then. Beating them 2 years ago and trying to beat him again.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna hey, look, it's tough to beat anybody twice, okay?
Facts.
And we'll talk about this next week, man. I am pretty solid about who I'm going to pick to win the Super Bowl. I'm just not because I picked these teams to be here.
Mm.
But I leave it there. Okay, we're gonna have everybody hanging on edge until next week when I make my predictions. I don't know who he's going to select, but it's gonna be interesting. But look, one of the unique things about Andy Reid, and one of the things that I saw was that as my sister is calling me here, I wouldn't pick that up and put it on the air, and I'm not gonna do it like that. But one of the things I noticed early on in his career was how he worked with Patrick Mahomes. There were times when they had like a football game on TV, and Andy Reid is not on the sidelines coaching; he's on the bench with Patrick Mahomes with that with that
With the
iPad.
pad, looking at stuff.
I
Yeah.
said, "Now I've never. You don't see coaches do that.
Right.
I mean, he sat down there, and whoever was running the team was running the team, but he sat down there, and man, he groomed that kid to look where he's at. I mean,
Exactly.
he was learning it right there on the spot, not
Mm.
in practice. This was, as Allen Iverson would say, during the game.
Right.
So I mean, you just saw that coming, man. And this kid, I mean, come on. I mean, you have to envy Patrick Mahomes for being able to work with such a genius
Right.
like
Right.
like Andy Reid. So that's going to be interesting to see in here. But and we want to be fair because I know you want to hear from Nick Sirianni this and Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Let's see what Nick Sirianni is saying about Jalen Hurts and Philadelphia Eagles.
You don't win in this game unless you have great players around. You don't win consistently unless you have great players around you. And sometimes I feel like it's a negative on him, and it's just it kind of blows your mind. But he wins. He's a winner. I don't want anyone else leading us other than Jalen Hurts, and I'm proud of the way he went out there and battled today and played today. And he don't care about anything other than winning. I know that, and that's selfless.
Yeah. I tell you what, AJ, we can all just think back to that Super Bowl a couple of years ago when they did play. Was that 57, right? And
Yeah.
if there was any year, I know the Chiefs won that Super Bowl, but if there was any year that you could have given the MVP to the opposing team, it would have been Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts played extraordinary in that Super Bowl and walked away a loser. Yeah, I mean, it was a perfect game for him.
Yeah, except for that. Yeah, only thing except for that fumble. But yeah, besides that, I mean, he
Mhm.
threw for like 300 plus yards, had some rushing touchdowns. I mean, he played great in that game. Really, it was just a couple bad breaks. The Chiefs offense was able to get things going against their defense. Then also, that Bradbury call too. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I tell you what, I should have told you to get some sound bites from the refs because we like to know how they thinking right about now. But
Yeah.
no, look, I mean, this is going to be a great, great Super Bowl, and I mean, don't always expect the same thing. I mean, this is why they play the game here. I mean, yeah, it's nice to see these two teams back in there. And shame on the other teams for not, if you don't like the Chiefs because they have been there and won it a couple of times, you don't like the Eagles because they were the best in the NFC. Well, then tell your damn team to do something to get there.
Right. Exactly.
Everybody gets a fair chance. You come out the box, 0-0, and you go through 17 weeks of this, and everyone had their shot. And that's no slight on the Detroit Lions. But I mean, when you come out the box, you gotta swing hard to the last out. You know, uh, if I was to steal a baseball analogy, and Detroit didn't do that. I mean, Detroit should have been in the Super Bowl. I think everybody wanted to put them there. You just can't put people in the Super Bowl
Right.
because you think they should be there.
Exactly. You got to earn it.
You got to earn it, and that's why we had the sound bites from both of these coaches because man, these guys are doing. They have done what they needed to do to get their teams prepared. And the Chiefs, man, trying to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. Look, you can go back to when the Patriots made that incredible run to where they were unbeaten regular season. You can't lose in the games once you get to the postseason. And they had a chance to run the table and tie the Miami Dolphins from 1972.
Yeah.
And they ran into the New York Football Giants, who always had their number in the Super Bowl.
Right. We saw that in the 2011-12 season too. Got him again. Yeah.
So look, man, I tell you what. So what the Chiefs are trying to do, and the Eagles know what they're trying to do, is man, this is what makes for a great Super Bowl. I don't know if they're going to win 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Eagles are going to. They put so much offense on the field in the NFL championship games. Man, I hope they got something left in the tank. And I'm glad they have that week in between because if the Super Bowl was played today,
Oh,
the Eagles wouldn't be ready.
at all. Yeah. It would
You
have been a
know,
low quality. That's
so
that's why it's a good thing that they have the 2 weeks apart for sure.
I know the 2 weeks is long and it's boring, and you get stuck with stuff like the Pro Bowl. And let me tell you another reason why I don't like the Pro Bowl. Because look, I don't watch Eli and Peyton during the Monday Manning cast during Monday Night Football. I
Right.
just ain't got time for that food. Okay, because I'm trying to really watch the game. 9 times out of 10, I probably got some money on it, so I ain't really got time for no bull crap. But anyway, I mean, so they were in charge of the Pro Bowl today. And I don't care how they try to make this stuff interesting, man. It was like I said early on here, watching the Pro Bowl today was like hanging out at Dave and Buster's. And I do that with my grandkids. Yeah, and they probably saying, Paul, talking about Dave and Buster's. No, 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 no. I love Dave and Buster's. But you know what happens at Dave and Buster's. You play all of these games and you try to win all of them damn tickets, right?
Right.
So you can go get a little small ass teddy bear. When you cash your
Yeah.
cash right stuff.
Exactly.
But anyway, so I don't know this Pro Bowl thing here, and let me just get on this stuff here because I mean what, and I felt bad for Ryan Clark and Swagoo and those guys. They tried their best, AJ, to make this thing interesting.
Yeah, they did. What I have a question for you. What do you think is more entertaining, the Pro Bowl games or how NBA All-Star Weekend is now? And now they're gonna change the
Oh,
All-Star game having this new
oh
like little
yeah, I
tournament thing
know.
too. So what do you think is more
Well, they
entertaining?
both keep tweaking it like every year,
Right.
and that tells you that the ratings. I can't wait to see what the ratings are going to be for the Pro Bowl here after this week. I don't know. I think most people was watching Lassie reruns and
Yeah.
not watching the Pro Bowl, right? Um, I don't know. The NBA, we're gonna talk about this because they format has continuously changed. And we're talking about the slam dunk contest. Boy, when you see some of the names in this contest, you might already want to make other plans for All-Star Saturday night because it sucks. Uh, Forget about all the nice slam dunks you see during the regular season by your great players, including the 40-year-old LeBron James, who still can throw it down, right? But you ain't gonna see these guys in this All-Star game. But your question, to answer your question, it's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, I don't know what the NFL can do to make this because look, well, when it was East and West, or well, in the Pro Bowl for football, it was always American League. I mean, the NFC versus the AFC.
Right.
Back in the day, they used to tackle, they used to play. Because at that point in time, the guys that didn't make the Super Bowl, I mean, they were out there trying to still earn contracts, probably. And free agency is next month.
Yeah.
So I mean, why not let them tackle? Let scout all the way to the last minute, right?
Well, I
But
guess
now,
they're just scared to go back to tackling now. I guess
'cause of
because
the
they don't want
injuries.
any injuries and stuff.
you got to do something.
Yeah.
Flag football, we saw that one coming though.
Right.
We saw the NFL putting all this money behind flag football, and we saw this one coming a long time ago.
Right, and because they're gonna have the Olympic flag football in 2028.
So, and the NFL is always, the poster child for promoting that kind of stuff and getting it out there. But no, I mean, some people like it. Kids probably get it, and if you're gonna make it more kid friendly, then we get it. Then maybe adults will say, okay, you know what? We'll take one for the kids, because if you're a football fanatic, you ain't gonna like the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
I think I saw the one today where the kickers were doing where you had a kicker and a non-kicker kicking it maybe 20 yards into a barrel.
Yeah.
And I mean, I thought that was kind of unique.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
And they had
to
this
see
stuff on
non-kickers
Thursday
do
too.
it.
Had a lot of different games and stuff they were doing there too.
Yeah, so I mean, but you to watch it on TV is a no-no. You would have to be there. Look, I was at the Pro Bowl and it still sucked. I left at halftime, if you want to call it a halftime. Okay. But I don't know. Like I said, we'll talk about the NBA here in a little bit, but anyway, I tell you what, man, this show is moving fast here, man. Somebody slow the button down
know,
over
right?
there, man. We are already up on a break here. When I come back, we'll give you a little bit of history about the city of New Orleans, as far as this is going to be, I think, their 8th Super Bowl, and we're talking about some of those magical Super Bowl games that they have had there in New Orleans over the years. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 H-Town.
This is the Mean Gene Show
On ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we are back, folks. Bottom of the first hour here on the Mean Gene Show, ESPN 97.5. Me and my producer AJ just moving right along here, folks. And it's, I guess you can call it the fastest 2 hours in sports talk radio. So a little bit of news here, since we seem to be in this era of air safety, plane safety. We, want to send our thoughts and prayers out to the people that lost their lives on that American Airlines flight in DC. And I was just in DC last August there for a podcast convention. Flew into that airport, and it was a daytime, so a lot of flights coming in and out of there. And if you've been to the DC area, you got the one airport, the Reagan Airport, and you also got the other airport there. And then you got BWI. You got like 3 airports there. There's so much going on. You got military bases there. So man, just crazy. And then we had the situation in Philadelphia where the Learjet crashed into a neighborhood. And then I just got word here today, and I didn't know this, but apparently let me try to get this report here. So a United Airlines flight was taken off from Houston when staff members were forced to evacuate the plane, and a video captured by a passenger showed that a fire may have broken out. So this just crazy. It's just unreal. Which we won't stop flying, AJ, because flying is still the safest thing to do. Better than driving, believe it or not. More people lose their lives driving on the highways than they do in these airplanes. But man, it's just unreal. So anyway, we are going to New Orleans. So a lot of people want to know why New Orleans. Why New Orleans? Because they always seem to host the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, I think the last one they hosted there was the Baltimore Ravens and the 49ers. But here's what people didn't know, AJ, is that last year's Super Bowl that was in Las Vegas was supposed to be in New Orleans.
Oh wow!
And it was a scheduling conflict there that took place to where the NFL decided they needed to move it. So so instead of the Caesar Superdome hosting the 2024 Super Bowl, Allegiant Stadium was the backdrop of last year's Super Bowl. And that was with the Chiefs and the 49ers. So anyway, yeah. So I mean, a lot of people didn't know that. And that Mardi Gras thing, which is going to be happening here this year, Mardi Gras, sort of pushed back a little bit. So New Orleans get to host this Super Bowl. But yeah, they have hosted quite a few, and I mean some pretty big ones too. And I brought up the Baltimore San Francisco one. Baltimore won 34-31, but that was the one where Beyonce performed at halftime and the lights went out.
Right. Yeah, back in 2012,
Yeah.
13 season. Yeah, 2012.
And, before the lights went out, the 49ers was winning.
Right. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I was like 10 then, so I forgot. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Baltimore wins the Super Bowl. Like what the hell, right? So the fix was in, man. That's what people would say. But anyway, some great Super Bowls have been there. The Patriots beat the Rams in New Orleans 20-17. That was that close Super Bowl. Back in the day, that was the greatest show on turf. I mean, and Kurt Warner and those guys did win a Super Bowl eventually. But how about the Packers and the Patriots? That 35-21 there. 49ers beat the Broncos. Bears have won. The Dallas Cowboys have won 2 Super Bowls. 5 of your championships, 2 of them came out of New Orleans. Yeah. So had you guys really did well this year, your chances would have been looking pretty damn good.
I'm glad we didn't do well this year because it's going to pay off for next year.
So, and the Chiefs actually have won a Super Bowl in New Orleans, Super Bowl 4. They beat the Minnesota Vikings 23-7. So, I mean, that was a long time ago. Okay. I don't even know if I was born then, but anyway, but no, they do a good job there. Okay. They always do a good job. And that city, the food is just spectacular. AJ, man, the food is going to be great. The gumbo, the jambalaya, it's just like there's always something to do. Bourbon Street, like we are fortunate to be able to do our show from right there where all the action is, right there on Bourbon Street in the French Quarter. at we're going to be doing the show at a restaurant called Common Interest. It's inside the Indigo Hotel in the French Quarter. So look, if you're going to be in New Orleans next week, look, I know you don't have a ticket to the Super Bowl, okay? But believe it or not, this year's Super Bowl ticket prices are the lowest in maybe 20 years. I mean, you can actually get a nosebleed seat at the Super Bowl for $3,800.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Now, if you want to sit on the 50-yard line, like
Ugh.
2 or 3 rows up, that's going to run you about 25,000.
That's a
Yeah.
car.
Go ahead and sell the kids, the house, the wife. Go ahead, get rid of all of them right now, and take that money and go sit there and watch the Super
Absurd.
Bowl. Yeah. And you know what, AJ? I didn't tell you I'm selling my house, right?
Was that again?
Yeah, I'm selling my house.
Oh,
And I thought about you. I said, well, you know what? Maybe AJ can buy the house, because you get you some roommates at 4 bedrooms. And I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know. That may not be a good idea. You get, could you live like a freshman in college?
oh wow. Yeah, probably.
So anyway, but yeah, this is interesting stuff though. So next Sunday, 6:30 Eastern time, Caesars Superdome. I can't remember when they changed it to Caesars, but they've done many renovations to the Superdome as well. I've been to that place, and I covered the Saints a couple of years ago. I met Ed Warder, your boy that covers the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh wow.
So me and Ed Warder sat right next to each other at the press box. But I hope they made some renovations to the press box, because back in the day, you would leave the press box to go down and do your interviews. Just kind of like AJ, like at the Toyota Center. You sit there, you cover the game there in the press box.
Right.
Then you got to get in the elevator. You got to go all the way down to the bottom.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the Superdome, you go to the bottom, like below the stadium. Okay. And the press box is like way up there in the nosebleeds. So they only had 2 elevators, and guess what? Only one of them was working.
Oh wow. Of course. It's always
So
like that.
this was the year that the Carolina Panthers made that 15-1 season. So they were playing the Saints because that was part of the NFC South division. And I'm trying to get down there and talk to the Panthers because, man, they wrapped up their season. That was the last regular season game. And I'm trying to get down there and talk to the Panthers. And some people were just so frustrated with that long elevator wait that they tucked the steps down. And you know how long it takes to take from the
I
top
wonder
of
how
the
long that took.
dome all the way down to the bottom. So I did the elevator, and then it was one of those bumpy rides in the elevators. So I'm hoping that they have made some changes there. And if I know Commissioner Roger Goodell, trust me, things are going to be right for that Superdome. Or, they wouldn't have it there. And like I said, Caesars is the new name of that. So I think it was Mercedes-Benz there like for a while ago. So they keep, whoever's got the big check is going to be able to get their name on that. But anyway, so and another reason too, AJ, what caused the Super Bowl to be removed from New Orleans last year was, when the NFL went from 17 weeks to 18 weeks, and that is what pushed it into the Mardi Gras.
Right.
So the city of New Orleans they go all in hard on Mardi Gras, and the NFL had to use Vegas as the
Contingency
host.
plan.
Yeah, contingency plan. So Vegas was not scheduled to host the Super Bowl last year. It should have been New Orleans.
Right.
So
Doesn't Vegas? They have one in a few years too. I think, huh?
I think they do. One that they get because they were chosen,
Right.
not because it was a backup. So I think that's always good to note that that's the case. But Media Day tomorrow night, folks, is going to be interesting thing. So watch it. If you're Eagles fans, you're going to watch what you want to watch there. But those player comments, now those players have been sitting around and they're going to get asked the same question over and over again. I remember having a conversation with Jerry Rice, James Jett, Lincoln Kennedy, all that from that Raiders and Buccaneers Super Bowl. And I remember, I tell you what, that Super Bowl was so crazy because remember, that's the one that John Gruden had coached the Raiders that year, the previous year, and he leaves and goes and coach the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tony Dungy had built a crazy team in Tampa. So Dungy gets fired. Gruden inherits the team, and everyone knew Tampa would be there, but they didn't know that the Raiders was going to make it.
Right.
So he's going up against his former team, the most lopsided Super Bowl ever.
That was I think that was with the 02-03 season. I think that was like the
Yeah,
first year
yeah.
like I was alive for a Super Bowl. Like while I was a baby. I was born in 02, so
So
That's
your parents had you just listening to the game because you didn't know what the hell was going on. Right?
basically my dad's a Bucks fan, so he enjoyed
Oh
that.
yeah, well he was happy then.
Right.
So I mean, it was just one of those crazy games, and I followed the Super Bowl that entire week. Me and my co-host, we were there hanging out with the Raiders and the Buccaneers all week. But I do remember media day talking to the defensive coordinator for the Raiders. I can't remember his name, but I said, "Hey man, look, are you worried about these Buccaneers? They've been putting up like 35 points a game in these playoffs. Yeah, nah, we're gonna be ready for them. We got a game plan for them, Mean Gene. All right, we're not worried about that. And our defense is gonna do. Well, they got beat 41 to. They got beat bad in that Super Bowl.
Man.
I couldn't find that defensive coordinator after that. I couldn't find anybody in that Raiders locker room after that beat down. But it's just just one of those rare instances where you get to coach against the team that you coach in the Super Bowl,
Right.
which is crazy. But I think this is going to be a pretty good. I keep sliding down in this chair, so if people are watching me on YouTube, they're like, "Why the hell is he getting shorter?" This chair just keeps sliding down, and
You do look a little shorter now.
yeah. Well, I mean, look here, I am. Look, I mean, nothing against midgets, but they just they can't do these type of shows here. I'm just kidding.
But hey,
But
before we go to break too, though, like we're gonna have another trade that we have to talk about too, because there was just a 3-team deal between the Kings, the Spurs, and the Bulls, and now De'Aaron Fox is gonna be a part of the Spurs, and Zach LaVine's gonna be on the Kings.
Yeah, well, De'Aaron Fox wanted to.
Go
He
there.
basically made himself available and told the Kings that he wanted out, and he also made it clear that he wanted to play alongside
Wemby.
Victor Wembanyama. So sometimes players get their way. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, man, cannot wait, folks. You got to stick around and listen to our NBA topics here. We got a bunch of them to talk about. We're trying to get this. We're not going deep into football tonight because next week we're going to have this all-out show in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59, but cannot wait to talk about NBA stuff. We might even start it in the next segment. Man, all this stuff you talking about, we got a lot of stuff to cover. All right, stick around. It's the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 H-Town.
You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we're about to wrap up the first hour of the Mean Gene Show here on 97.5 ESPN Houston. As I'm watching the Memphis and the Milwaukee Bucks game here, and that's a nice stadium too, by the way, Fiserv Arena. I saw the. Do you remember when KD was playing with the Brooklyn Nets and
Of
when
course.
they had Kyrie?
Of course.
And so I was there for Game 4 of that playoff round between them and the Bucks, and then the Bucks went ahead and won the NBA championship that year.
Right.
Yeah. So, but that, man, it's just funny how the Brooklyn Nets have changed, and just personnel. I mean, that big three. I remember all of the guys, including our ESPN Stephen A. Smith, all the Bucks. I mean, or the Nets, and it's just crazy here when we see these super teams. It said the same thing when KD went down to Phoenix and he joined Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. And look, I mean, they're not even in the top 10, are they? In the NBA standings in the Western Conference. So it's like, okay. Be careful with this. I mean, a lot of times, look, you put these super teams together, they actually have to play it. I think the Suns are in the 8th spot
They're 8th
right now.
now,
Yeah,
yeah.
so they're in that play-in tournament. So anyway, so I guess you can tell we're already getting to NBA basketball because right during the break, AJ broke some news to me. So I mean, we haven't even started talking about the trade last night, but this trade here, AJ, you just mentioned to me in the NBA. Go ahead and tell me what's going on.
Right. So basically the what's called Sacramento Kings, they finally traded De'Aaron Fox. The rumors about him potentially want to go with Wemby, and now he got granted that wish. So the Spurs acquired De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin in a 3-team deal that involved the Kings and the Bulls. And the Kings are going to get Zach LaVine, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, a player named Sidi Sikoko. Then the Bulls, from my opinion, they for trading Zach LaVine, it wasn't great for them. They got Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick. But for me, it's interesting too because now Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, they're now reunited on the Kings. So
yeah, I mean, look, man, it's crazy. A lot of moving parts here, and if you always want to know why are so many teams involved in these NBA trades, is because the money has to work.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of dollars. Some of these players have big time contracts, and you have to do. You have to really make everything add up here. So, and there's also are winners and losers of these trades. So if I mean, just from what you told me, because I haven't seen this one yet, De'Aaron Fox made it clear that he wanted to be traded. I mean, he wasn't really, he didn't really voice negatively about it. He just basically went through the process of saying, okay, I want to make myself available for a trade.
right.
And he sort of kind of indicated where he wanted to go. And, this Kings team, man, I don't know, because I thought when Mike Brown was there, they were building on something, so you go from coach of the year and then to being fired.
Mid-season.
And I don't know, but, when you look at Domantas Sabonis, who came over from the Indiana Pacers a few years ago, and I mean, and then, Buddy Hield was there. So they had a lot of things going on there, Harrison Barnes and those guys. And I'm thinking, okay, Mike Brown had these guys going. So if you were Kings fans, you're looking like, okay, the future looks bright here. Then all of a sudden things change. Now, De'Aaron Fox, I mean, there's just nights when he's just not there. And then it seems like when he wants to turn it on, he can turn it on. So getting rid of Buddy Hield, it showed this year that hurt them a little bit, even though they do got some great players up there. What's your thought on Sabonis? Because I mean, Sabonis, hey, nothing like his father. His father was a big man that played for the Portland Trailblazers. I liked Sabonis when he was over in Indiana. I just thought that Paul, that whole thing with George and everybody, I just thought they had a great team in Indiana. But I haven't seen. I mean, he for a big man, he doesn't look like a big guy, but he plays really good.
Right, he's very skilled too. Like I talked about LaVine being back with DeMar. They were together with Vucevic. I guess Sabonis is definitely an upgrade from that, but realistically, though, like, do we see them pushing the needle in the West? I honestly don't, especially in the West
Not
Conference. If they couldn't in
Levine
the
stays
East,
hurt a lot.
right? Exactly. That's
Yeah, and
true.
that was one reason why I don't. I think the Lakers. Zach Levine has been mentioned in a lot of NBA trades over the last few years, and he hasn't been healthy enough. Now, Vucevic,
Yeah,
that guy is a good guy. He goes in and puts in this work. He was good when he was with the Orlando Magic,
right.
and how he ended up in Chicago, I don't know. Boy, it looked like they just really tearing that Chicago team apart, right? So,
Yeah.
who did Chicago get?
They got a lot of role players. They got Trey Jones, Zach Collins, Kevin Herter, and basically they traded
Herter.
a Golden State pick to Golden State, and they got their pick back essentially for 2025.
Okay. I don't know. And Billy Donovan's been there for a while. That Chicago team, I think last year they came out really impressive last year. It looked like they were going to make a run there. Nothing like the Tom Thibodeau teams that he had when he was with Chicago.
Right. Well, my boy D Rose, my
Derrick
favorite
Rose,
player.
yeah.
Yeah.
And those
favorite
were some
all
good
time.
times.
Yeah.
I thought, that was as close as you were going to get to the old Bulls
Right.
because Thibodeau is such a great coach. But, a lot of people didn't think Billy Donovan making the transition from college. He coached back-to-back NC2A championships with the teams he had, and he had Al Horford.
Yeah, and Joakim Noah.
And Joakim Noah,
Yeah.
So, and then he gets the job at Oklahoma, and that was like, are you kidding me? Because they fired my guy, Scotty Brooks,
Right.
in Oklahoma. And I'm like, well, what the hell? Scotty Brooks had it going on, right? So I don't know. So Billy Donovan hasn't done anything, but yet he keeps that job. The Bulls, I know Bulls fans got to be impatient there when you go see Michael Jordan's statue every time you walk into the United Center.
Yeah.
They are far away from getting back to the playoffs. As a matter of fact, right now, they're a play-in team now.
Right.
There's a long way to go.
Now without Levine, they probably will drop more.
Yeah, they probably will. I mean, well, look, if I was to tell you that the Bulls are ahead of the Philadelphia 76ers, would you believe me?
No, because Embiid barely plays. That's
And
why.
he
And Paul George's been hurt.
and now Paul George got the Embiid virus. So it's like I don't know. And poor Maxey, like, okay, hey, just give me my money, okay? Because I'm gonna go in and do what I need to do night in, night out. So yeah, so I guess we're talking NBA, right? So welcome to the NBA. So but anyway, last night I had an opportunity because I knew we were going to be transitioning into NBA. I was at the Houston Rockets Brooklyn Nets game last night. And of course, the Rockets, look, I have two teams that I like in the NBA, as my phone is ringing, a call from Louisiana. Maybe it's Super Bowl tickets. I should pick that up. No, I'm not. But anyway, so I go hang out last night at the Toyota Center. Great place for basketball. Look, I never got a chance to go to the Compact Center. Never got a chance to go, which is now Lakewood Church, Joel Osteen Church. So, but it's just funny because I watched the 95 or 94 Houston Rockets versus the Orlando Magic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, finals. Yeah, I just had a throwback moment. Every once in a while, I just go pick an old game to watch. And that was a pretty good game. You had Hakeem teaching Shaquille O'Neal how to play the game.
Showing him the ropes.
Yeah, but Shaquille had some nice blocks in there in that game for a young guy back then. But anyway, the Rockets, so I got two favorite teams, the Lakers and the Rockets. Okay. Lived in California for many years, right? And I love the Rockets too. So it's just this is great. And this Rockets team here, which is right now number 2 in the Western Conference, even though they're actually tied with the Memphis Grizzlies, but they own the tiebreaker because they have, even though they lost last week to Memphis, they won the other 3. So that series is over between Memphis and the Rockets. So now it's just going to get down to, to how they finish it out here. But good game last night. And it was one of those crazy games. And, I'll talk a little bit more about because we have a soundbite from that game last night. So the the Brooklyn Nets, they win. They beat the Rockets last night. I think it was 110-98. But the Rockets had just had this brutal road streak here where they go to Cleveland. I mean, they played Cleveland twice in a matter of 2 days.
3 days, yeah.
3 days, and they beat Cleveland twice. They beat them here and they beat them there, and then they beat the Boston Celtics. So you knock down the number 1 and 2 teams in the
Eastern Conference.
Eastern Conference. Now they have a hell of a road trip coming up here because I think they get to go to Madison Square Garden, which is always a fun place to watch
tomorrow. Yeah.
Basketball. If you've never been to New York City, you've never been to Madison Square Garden, I mean, that's just one of those bucket list things you have to do. I had a chance to see the last time I was at Madison Square Garden, it was the Atlanta Hawks and the Knicks. And guess who showed out?
Is it the playoffs or you?
No. It was just a regular.
Okay.
It was a regular.
Watch Trae Young.
Trae Young went in there and showed out again. Something about these big stars. Kobe Bryant's done it. Michael Jordan's done it. Reggie Miller. Oh my God! Back in the day, Reggie Miller used to just go in there and then he would do the choke sign to the Knicks fans.
Yep.
So that place is really good to watch basketball. So, but the Rockets got a hell of a schedule. We're gonna talk about here in the next hour, folks. So hey, we are just getting started. Okay, it's all NBA here for the next hour here. The next hour coming up here. So stick around. It's the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 Houston.
Yeah, like I said, we look connected. We communicated very well. Our focus and our intentions were very good. It was not always perfect, but we communicated on point. We were loud, especially our centers that are supposed to be the anchor of our defense, and they did an outstanding job. Winning 3 quarters and losing the fourth. I think our defense was very, very good. And like you said, back-to-back games. Our challenge is to do it one third time here in the next game.
All right, folks, we are back once again. It's the Mean Gene Show. That was head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, Jordi Fernandez, talking about the defense that the Nets played last night to beat the Rockets. A rare loss there. As a matter of fact, it's back-to-back losses for the Houston Rockets. They lose Thursday on TNT to the Memphis Grizzlies. That was a 1-point game, 120-119. Last night they lose at home to the Brooklyn Nets, 110-98. Now, one thing I noticed as soon as I got to the arena last night, and I'm speaking with someone from KPRC Channel 2 here, we were talking about, I mean, look, you don't have Sengun in the game, which, for the most part, it made the Rockets a smaller team, okay? Even though Steven Adams is not a small guy. But so, I mean, it was just one of those games. But, man, just looking at the Brooklyn Nets roster and looking at their players, I felt that they didn't match up well with them. And but, you can say that about a lot of teams the Rockets play. Next thing you know, they sometimes start out slow, AJ, and they work their way back into games. So, I mean, it's one of the most interesting Rockets teams I've seen. But if you've watched Emi Udoka, his coaching style, he gets it done. This guy is an incredible coach. The Rockets are so fortunate to have him and these players, because before he gets the job, we just had a lot of great players. And when you bring in the right coach, you are seeing how his system works, man. He's a very patient coach. Look, I mean, he learned from one of the best, AJ, and Greg Popovich.
Right.
So, but man, it's just always a sight to see how he works his magic with this team. So look, they lose one. So and it was really nothing to panic about, because I mean, look, the Nets come out there shooting 50%, I think, in that first quarter. They kind of maintained it through the second quarter. That second quarter, they went on a 27-15 run, and it didn't take a lot when teams do that sometimes. When you look at every other statistic, the Rockets and the Nets finished about the same. The only thing was that field goal percentage.
Right.
Turnovers were not that bad. Free throws, I mean, it was so. But when you, I mean, the Rockets, they just couldn't. Shots couldn't go in. I mean, they just struggled. And like Coach Jordi Fernandez said, that defense, they went in there with a purpose to play defense, and at times they just were too much for the Rockets.
Absolutely. And then it didn't help with Fred VanVleet getting injured too in that game too. I mean, that's some of your scoring there, but it was just an inefficient game that you saw them play. So it was tough. They even let the Reed Shepherd should get some sparks
Yeah. Well, he made that one nice little buzzer
at the
there
end,
at the
yeah,
end of the
third
quarter, and to me, he didn't shoot enough when he could have. I'm
Right.
thinking
Right.
he was like, okay, look, I know I got to make the best of these 5 minutes here. Do I
Exactly.
just launch everything that comes my way?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, when you're that, look, I mean, the Rockets got down by 21 points in that game, and we've seen the Rockets get down in games to where they're going to come back. And they cut the lead down to 10. You just, you don't walk away from a Rockets game, whether they're away or at home. You stick with it, and you see what happens there. And but no, after the game, Jalen Green said, look, I mean, it was just they were hot, they were on, and it wasn't like they just got ran out the gym. They were no match for this team. I think I think the Rockets finished that game with about 38%. You're just not gonna win a lot of games shooting 38% from the field. And I think Brooklyn finally got down to, I think they were like close to 47, 48. That's still pretty good. Almost finishing the game with 50%. So I mean, that's almost every other damn shot is going in almost.
Exactly.
So when you look at it that way, but no, it was a great game though. And Green led the way for the Rockets. Ahmed Thompson there. No relation there. I still get a hard time. That's my nephew. I mean, hey, if it is, nephew, hey, keep up the good work there. But no, it was just, look, no panic button. I don't think anyone left Toyota Center last night thinking that, okay, whoa, man, we lost 2 in a row.
Right.
No,
It happens.
no. I mean, it
Long
happens.
season.
Now, this week, it is funny. They will get a second chance to go up against Brooklyn because they go to New York and they have to go to Madison Square Garden on Monday night, and they got a back-to-back in New York, which is back-to-backs are brutal. I mean, so there's a chance Brooklyn could get them again because you got to go and play the Knicks, who got beat by the Lakers.
Right, so they have a chip on their shoulders.
So they got a little
and the
chip
Rockets
on.
beat them in Houston earlier in the season too.
Yeah, so I mean, so it's gonna get interesting there. But look, I tell you what, man, they go on the road Monday night, take on the Knicks. They got Brooklyn, they got Minnesota, and they got the new look Dallas Mavericks. So this is a hell of a road trip. And then they come back here and take on Toronto, Phoenix, Golden State, and then go into the All-Star break. So a lot of work for this team. But I mean, I think they're gonna be okay right now. Memphis playing right now. So if Milwaukee knocks off Memphis tonight in Milwaukee, then the Rockets got the half game where they'll be up a half game. But I mean, right now they're virtually tied, but the Rockets own the tiebreaker. But the big story for me last night was just being able to hang out there, and I want to just give a big shout out to the Houston Rockets organization. Class Act always takes care of people when you go hang out there. Great food, by the way, AJ. Just you can get stuck down there in that media room and forget about the damn game, man. The food is good down there.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I'm saying? I just stay down here and watch the game and eat. But anyway, one of the reasons why I was there yesterday was to interview Jalen Wilson of the Brooklyn Nets. So look at this Nets team here. They started Jalen Wilson, Zaire Williams, Nick Claxton, Keon Johnson, and D'Angelo Russell. Russell came over from the Lakers. He played with Brooklyn a few years ago. And so he's just back where he needed to be. So they were just all on it last night. Defense, they played some hella defense, so I think Coach Fernandez had a game plan. They just, stuck with it, and it was just one of those unfortunate losses for the Rockets. But anyway, so Jalen Wilson, I know his parents and his grandparents, and I've watched him play at the University of Kansas. As a matter of fact, if you remember, he was a Big 12 Player of the Year. And then he went on, he played on that Bill Self national championship team from a few years ago. He gets drafted in the late second round by the Brooklyn Nets, and he becomes a two-way player. So he goes down in the G League, comes back up. Now he has a permanent contract with the Nets, full-time contract there, and has worked himself in the starting lineup. And we had a great conversation last night because I basically shared with him, hey, just watching your game here and just noticing the improvement here, and sometimes you just have to give a shout out when it's due, AJ.
Absolutely,
when
give people
players,
their flowers.
Yeah, when players make that transition. But I think this kid is going to be something special all over the ball. Stats look pretty good last night. I think he finished with 13 points. I think D'Angelo Russell was the high scorer in that game. But anyway, it's just nice to see those type of things. So, and that team right there is a young team, and it's always scary with these teams that, and I don't know where Brooklyn is in the standings. I mean, I don't think they, where are they? They are 13, in the East right now.
Right.
So
Trying to get Cooper Flag next year.
yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, but I mean, it's a good young team. You got to watch out for these young teams. These are the teams that will. They knocked off the number 2 seed in the West. So, I mean, it's on any given night, somebody can come in there and get it done. But it was just great having a conversation with him and just, watching. There have been second round players that have turned out to be stars. How about
Jokic?
Yeah. I mean, there's been Cliff. I want to say Clifford. I can't think of his last name, but I mean, there have been some players that have just really turned out to be extraordinary. So, and I think this kid is probably going to be playing for a big contract here coming up soon. I mean, on the court with D'Angelo Russell, who is, I guess you can say, a veteran player now. I spoke with the media relations guy for the Brooklyn Nets, and he's a big time Notre Dame fan. So, and I said, well, you know, D'Lo played with Ohio State. He said, don't remind me. He said he pissed everybody off during the
Yeah,
during the championship
I
game.
bet.
Yeah. So, but how about we just kind of get into the elephant in the room, man? And this, my telephone went off last night, so I leave the Toyota Center around 10:30. I get home about 11:15 or so, and man, and my phone just started blowing up. Like I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And then AJ, the trade. Tell us about this trade. What the hell happened last night?
Man, so everybody thought Shams Charania from ESPN reporting was hacked or something like that. He had to even make a tweet saying, "Yes, this is real." Man, Luka Doncic is being traded to the Mavericks, and I just don't get it. Like, for me, honestly, like I'm a Luka fan, so I guess you can say I'm kind of biased with it in ways. But honestly, though, you're trading a superstar not even in his prime yet. I understand maybe some of the weight issues, things of that nature, him needing to lock in that aspect. But
Conditioning.
even how he's playing now, he's still an all NBA player, a top 5 player at the age of 25, turning 26 at the end of this month. The level that he's at, you don't trade a future asset like that who's going to be dominant in the league for like the next 7 to 10 years potentially. And Anthony Davis is great, trust me, but his injury history, I think it's too risky if you're the Mavs. Just talking about from the Mavs standpoint, but from the Lakers standpoint, I think it makes sense for a post LeBron era having your predecessor to essentially be your franchise player, because after LeBron, really they were deadlocked, but now having Luka Doncic in there, and remind you, they were approached from the Mavericks. They didn't even
Yeah.
seek this out. So I mean, it's really a win
So they
situation.
say.
Yeah.
So they say. I mean, who knows? These things always start at some point. But
Right.
anyway, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna, get all into this trade and possible other trades as the NBA trade deadline is going to be happening. So expect to get a whole lot more, maybe even before tonight, and all into this week before February 6th. So you listen to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 H-Town.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right. I was just telling AJ this Memphis Grizzly Milwaukee Bucks game is pretty good for a Sunday night NBA entertainment, especially after a Pro Bowl day. They have some meaningful sports on TV. It's 35 all right now in the second quarter here. And just to recap here, couldn't wait to come on air. Not only I mean, to be back in studio with AJ, because he's been alone for the last month. Okay, so it's all good now. We are back here. Jacob's not back. Jacob's probably still at Tom's Watch Bar, knowing him. And by the way, I just want to give a big thank you to two places: Christian's Tailgate. You know, just Chris Allen, the owner. I want to thank him for allowing us to come out there and hang out during the wild card weekend and the divisional rounds, and of course, my man over at the Tom's Watch Party, Sam over there. Man, we had a great time over there too. Even though AJ was raining, I mean, they packed that place. I mean, and we found out that there was more Eagles fans.
Boo.
I know, and there I was shocked that there was more Eagles fans in there than Washington Commanders fans. But man, we really had a great time, and it's good to be back in studio so we can just sort of kind of get our stuff together here as we transition over to the NBA, and then next week we're in New Orleans doing the show in the French Quarter. So, but the big news, okay, NBA, the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. Okay, and then the three-team deal includes the Lakers, the Mavericks, and Utah. Now, Utah is going to get Jalen Hood-Schifino, second-round pick via the Clippers, and a 2025 second-round pick via the Dallas Mavericks. So these things, you know, I mean, you don't think about these future picks until it happens till we get there and see who these picks are, you know. So you never know.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes, but anyway, man, and I just, you know, and my opinion on that, because I told you, I'm a huge Lakers and Rockets fan. So, you know, I don't know. I just think from a Lakers standpoint, so you had a team that is probably currently fifth right now in the NBA standings, which under JJ Redick, this is sort of impressive. I don't know where they were this time last year under Darvin Ham, but right now, I mean, to be 28-19, Lakers won 7 of the last 3 games there. And I mean, not bad to be in the top 5 in the East, in the West.
Right, and then now you're getting Luka, who will be able to help add with that as well. So, yeah.
Well, see, and this is where I
need a
tend
big, though.
to think that things change it, because I know Luka's supposed to return.
Right.
And it's so funny how, and this is when trades are going to go down, when like Anthony Davis didn't play last night. Luka didn't play. You always kind of know when things are about to go down.
Right, well, Luka hasn't played since Christmas, though.
That's true, but he was scheduled to play last night. They thought he was going to come back and play. Well, not last night, but whenever the Mavs played their last game. But anyway, I mean, look, so this is not really an apples for apples type thing here. So, I mean, I always look at youth when it comes to these type of trades here, because Anthony Davis, who has made it clear to the Laker organization that he doesn't want to play the 5. He's been forced to play the 5 for a while. The Lakers have failed to go and get complimentary 5 players to help him out. I mean, you want to call Hayes? I mean, this guy is not your, they
got to get another big.
They had Drummond, who I thought was the guy that could help them. That didn't work out. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of things have been happening with the Lakers, but I give JJ Redick some credit for having this team competitive now. Now you're bringing in, you're getting rid of Anthony Davis, who I know over the years he's missed a lot of games, but this season, last season, he played 70-something games.
Yeah, he played 76 last season.
So and looked like he might have been on pace to do the same thing this year. Been really good. Had a hell of a game a couple of weeks ago when he had 40
points? And 20. That was his last game as a Laker, scoring 40.
Yeah, I mean, boy, he really put that out there. That's what you call marketing for the Dallas Mavericks. See, that's what he put on the show for the Dallas Mavericks when he had a double-double in the first quarter, right? So, I don't know. You lose a big man in Anthony Davis. You gain a player like Luka Doncic, who has, I know he is good. I know he is a sharp shooter. I know he is a great basketball player, but his conditioning has always been come into question. And he's a complainer. He's a whiner sometimes. I mean, this guy just doesn't know when to just take the call from the officials and just keep moving it on here.
Well, the thing about it is too, he's going with LeBron. LeBron wants stuff too, but I think the thing about the conditioning standpoint, Luke is going to be able to learn from LeBron on that aspect. So if anything, this is going to be beneficial for him. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. I think it's going to only
You
improve
think
him.
he's gonna learn? I mean, look,
Yes,
a
that's his favorite player.
a trade like this that everyone was kept in the dark. And because one of the things I said, LeBron James couldn't have signed off on this. Now,
didn't
it's
know.
one thing to say that, yeah, they admire each other and respect each other because they, all-star games. And I mean, two great players. I don't know. They both like handling the damn ball. So, I mean, who brings the ball down the court for the last shot? LeBron James, people need to understand this man is 40 years old. And if I'm a GM and ownership, I mean, you got to take those things into consideration.
Well, the thing about it is too, though, LeBron's been talking about a while. He's wanted another playmaker, and then also he's always admired Luka too. He said like in the past, like he would love to play with him. Obviously, never think it will obviously happen, but at this point, the point you just brought up, him being 40 as well, that's only going to help him in terms of Luka being there. Because in terms of the shot at the end of the game, I think Luka would take that. We've seen him make countless of step back threes, clutch shots. He's the second leading scorer in the playoffs for points per game standpoint behind Michael Jordan. So if anything, he's going to be able to handle that responsibility. But yeah, but like to your point about conditioning, though, I think he's gonna listen to LeBron. That's his favorite player of all time growing up. He's talked about that repeatedly. So I think this is gonna be great for his career, really.
Well, let me tell you as a Laker fan too, okay, is that when you look at the history of the Lakers have never had lazy players. When you look at Kobe Bryant and the amount of effort and conditioning, and you look at LeBron, he's a good example. Magic, I mean, the Lakers are not used to having a player that is going to call themselves the future or the leader with this sort of work ethic, I could say. I mean, I know at 25 years old, he just doesn't fit the Laker brand. Even Jerry West. I mean, Laker players are just, defensive. They're good on defense. They're good on offense. And I mean, so I'm still in shock of this because I just don't see. Luka doesn't play any defense. You just can't go out and score all the points and stand around and watch somebody else put in all the hard work. They don't have any defensive guys now. You can't ask a 40-year-old to continue to play at LeBron's level. I just don't like this trade for the Lakers. I think in the interim, I think the Mavericks are pretty good. You still have Kyrie. You still have, look, AD gets to play the true four that he wants to be now because of Gafford. And you still got Likely. What's his name? Is it Likely?
Lively. He's
Lively
hurt right now, but
yeah. So you got come on, man. The Mavericks will be in contention before the Lakers will.
That's right now. But like, if you look at it in the grand scheme of things for the long term, and I guess, yeah, the goal is to win a championship every year. But in my opinion, say if the Lakers kept AD, they weren't gonna. If we're being honest, they were not gonna win the championship this year.
Well, they are in the 5 spot now, and I know there's a lot of basketball left, but this has been pretty good. They've been playing in the play-in tournament for the last 3-4 years with AD.
Yeah, that's true too, though. But if you lose 2 to 3 games, I mean, you'll be right back in that play-in spot too in the Western Conference as well. So. I mean, that's just with that. But for the Mavericks right now, obviously, it looks good in terms of them trying to win a championship right now, but nothing's guaranteed.
I think it's bad for the Lakers.
You think so?
I do. I don't know. I guess I'm just not a Luka fan. I guess do I like his game? I mean, yeah, I like watching him play, of course. Look, I thought it was exciting when him and Kyrie Irving was putting up 40 and 40 points,
right.
I mean, and it's it's unfortunate. Mark Cuban wouldn't have made this trade.
Absolutely, that's what I was saying.
Mark Cuban wouldn't have made this trade, and I haven't even seen any thoughts and opinions from Mark Cuban. I cannot wait to see those and hear those because you get a guy like Dirk Nowitzki out and Luka. I mean, man, this guy is the key to the city.
Heir apparent, yeah,
and that's what I thought. So
Mavs fans are pissed too, by the way.
Oh, I know they are, and I have fielded some of those text messages and phone calls all day from Mavericks fans, even on social media, that they are pissed because they know Anthony Davis, a guy who, look, when you get, Anthony Davis is 30, what is he, 20, 30, 31, 29?
He's about to turn 32.
He's about
next
to,
month.
So Anthony Davis has been around for a while, and you got a guy with a history of getting hurt. He will miss games.
That's why I'm
And
saying it's risky for the Mavs too, though.
it is risky for both. So I don't think neither team really accomplished much from this because you got one player that's lazy and you got one player that's injury prone. And of course, I always like to go with the youth, but man, I don't know if I can. Luca is not an LA type of a player. Well, you will find out. The
So,
Laker fans are used to players who go out there and give it their all.
so you don't think he's gonna learn anything from LeBron, like in terms of work ethic, and take away
Nope.
next
I think
at
LeBron.
all?
No,
At all?
I think they're forcing LeBron out. Uh,
Ugh.
LeBron didn't. You forcing LeBron to accept this because he damn sure wasn't part of this. You think LeBron, if Rob Pelinka would have went to LeBron James and said, you know what, we're gonna get rid of AD and we're gonna bring Luca.
Well, it didn't.
Like,
It didn't go like that too, though. It just came to them from Nico Harris because I mean the Mavs approached them from it. The Lakers didn't seek this out; they were approached to it. I think most teams in the NBA, if they saw this opportunity, they would take it to get.
well,
Luka,
there's a
honestly.
relationship between Nico and AD.
Right, right, exactly.
From years ago
And
with the Nike.
Right.
So I mean, this could have been on a radar, a long
Wow,
time
yeah.
ago. But I just know for a fact, you talking about, we know LeBron has been kind of running things there in the Laker organization. They've mortgaged off a whole lot for him. I don't think this was one of those things. Yeah, I think it's easy for us to say that LeBron is his favorite player, but I mean you can say that on the sidelines. But now when you force somebody to accept the reality of this, I know Laker fans, man. I know. I know Laker fans. I just don't think they are going to accept this whatsoever. Now, yeah, they will accept it from a standpoint, okay, when LeBron leaves, they got a star there. But for him to be called a superstar from my lips, he's got to play some defense. He got to get his ass in shape, and he's got to get them to a championship like what he did with the Mavs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so you don't think he's a superstar, but he got them to the finals last year when no one expected him to.
Well, hey, but
I'm telling you, he goes crazy in the playoffs too. And I know
I do know that. That's true. I mean,
it was a Celtics series. He looked bad defensively. The other series, he played solid defense considering his standards. But the Celtics attacked him for sure. But like
yeah,
Luka, he can lock in though.
And well, he's already in the West, so he knows about the West.
Right.
So anyway,
I hope he proves you wrong for sure.
I will see. Hey, we're at the bottom of the hour when we come back. A couple of more segments left. We're going to get into the All-Star Challenge. The All-Star NBA All-Star Game is going to take place in San Francisco. We're going to talk all about that, the rules, the players, the reserves, the starters, and all of that here on the Mean Gene Show, ESPN 97.5.
You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, moving it right along here. Bottom of the second hour, Mean Gene Show. No Jacob Meadows tonight. Jacob is just trying to relax and get ready for Super Bowl 59 next weekend. We'll be doing our show in New Orleans at the French Quarter. So must be nice, Jacob. I see what you're doing. See, I could have tucked the night off too, but I couldn't. I was committed to coming down here, hanging out with AJ, who we haven't seen in over a month. But wow, the NBA season is getting ready to get to their midway point. They used to actually do the All-Star break right at the 41 game mark, but I mean it's impossible really to like have that break because some teams have played more games than others. So everyone is not going to be at 41 games played. Some teams will be well over that, as a matter of fact. But anyway, the National Basketball Association and the National Basketball Players Association announced a new format for the 2025 NBA All-Star Game in San Francisco. And it's going to take place Sunday, February 16th at Chase Center, home of the Golden State Warriors. So look, AJ, for the first time, the NBA All-Star Game will feature a mini tournament, which I don't know. The NBA is getting really stuck on these tournaments here. We got the play-in tournament. You got the
In-season tournament.
You got the in-season tournament. So I don't know. But this mini tournament is going to have 4 teams in 3 games. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it could be it's good for the fans, I guess. 2 teams are going to meet in one semifinal game, game 1, and the remaining 2 teams will meet in the other semifinal game, game 2. The winning teams from game 1 and 2 will advance to face each other in the championship game, which is game 3. Are you following me here?
Yeah.
All right. For each game, the winner would be the first team to reach or surpass 40 points. So this is getting interesting here, sort of like some big 3 type stuff, So anyway, each team is going to have 8 players to be named for a TNT NBA analyst. All right. Which means you have Team Chuck, Team Shaq, and Team Kenny. All right. So, and everyone knows if you don't watch Inside the NBA, you're missing out on one of the best damn shows on TV.
Ever.
Because these guys, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson, is some must-see TV. They will make even the most boring game on Thursday night on TNT watchable.
Facts.
They do a great job of it. So, and I'm so glad that they were able to renew that contract because it looked like they were going to be X'd out by TNT. NBC is going to pick up Inside the NBA.
I thought it was ESPN. ESPN.
So I thought it was NBC.
It's ESPN.
So ESPN
they're going to
gonna
be
pick
licensing it.
Okay, well, well, then that's even better. That means we get to talk about it even better.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
and anyway, and I don't know if Ernie Johnson is coming over because Ernie Johnson covers
It's the whole everyone.
the whole crew.
Mhm.
So they were able to convince Ernie to.
Mhm.
But then this is going to be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Good job, ESPN. So it's going to be great because these 4 guys have been together for a long time. I remember when it was just Ernie and Kenny, and then Chuck comes along, then Shaquille comes along. So it's just great stuff. So anyway, back to this game. So the 3 analysts, I just gave you who they are. It's gonna be Team Chuck, Team Shaq, Team Kenny, and they're gonna make their picks on the NBA All-Star Draft, which will be conducted on Thursday, this coming Thursday, February 6th, just before the network's doubleheader that night. So we're gonna know. Okay. And also Thursday, by the way, just happens to be the NBA trade deadline.
Yep.
2:00 Eastern time. So I don't know. We didn't even talk about what the Rockets are going to do. I didn't even get a chance to pose that question
Nothing.
last night.
They don't need to do anything.
They really don't.
Mm-mm.
And look, and I know there were talks, and I get back to the All-Star game, but you just made me think of something, AJ. There were talks even last year that James Harden would come back. And I'm like, oh hell no. And then there was talks about Jimmy Butler.
No.
And no, this is the best team that in the best situation for Coach Udoka. We don't want. I'm sorry, we don't want it. We don't
Right.
want it. This team, Let him. He's working his magic with this team now. This is a great team. We don't need Jimmy Butler or Harden. Harden had his time here and great years, right? And believe me, we thought the Rockets were going to cash it in a couple years ago. So close, and couldn't get it done. I don't know if Golden State wasn't who they were. Who knows? That was the year the Rockets looked like they were going to get to the NBA Finals.
Or Chris Paul didn't, his hamstring.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, I mean, it's just crazy. But anyway, so now the fourth team will be the winning team from the championship game of the Rising Stars. So as we talk about the Rising Stars, how about a good congratulations to my nephew, right? No, he's not really my nephew, okay. Amen Thompson. How about that? Can you? I mean, that's pretty good. So the Rising Stars, man, this has really been more exciting to watch than the All-Star game.
Oh, for sure. It's
over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, I love these Rising Star challenges. I mean, I've been to a couple of All-Star weekends. They are fun. They were fun. The slam dunk competition used to be really, the 3-point contest is still fun. But
it's the best one now, honestly.
Yeah, it's probably the best one now. But I do like the Rising Stars. Okay, some pretty good names too. Zach Edey is going to be in it. Dalton Neck from the Lakers are going to be in that Rising Stars. And how about I can never pronounce this guy's name with the Wizards. Bilal Coulibaly.
Oh,
I know I'm saying that name wrong.
Yeah,
I know. The NBA gives us this pronunciation thing, and I always said that I'm going to look at that before I come on the air.
And forget to,
because I know this guy's name is not. How about Keontae George? Been playing great for the Jazz this year. I mean, the Jazz are not competitive. We're going to have to get the play-by-play announcer for the Jazz on the show.
For sure.
Yeah, great guy. We keep in contact with each other. So Scoot Henderson with the Blazers. How about Trace Jackson Davis?
Yeah, he's been good.
Who is really doing good. He would be considered a sophomore here. And, he's the son of Dale Davis. Dale Davis played with the Indiana Pacers, and Antonio Davis. They used to call them the Davis boys way back in the day. And some great memories there. But yeah, so if you didn't know, that's Dale Davis' son, Trace Jackson Davis. And Derek Lively, we were just talking about. I know I called him Likely because I'm thinking football. And Brandon Miller, this kid here, I mean, just look, I'm glad he was able to get away from Alabama and all of that mess that took place. But this guy, just like we talked about Jalen Wilson, this guy is coming to the league and he's taking it by storm. Brandon Miller is an NBA ball player.
Yeah, he's super talented too.
He is super talented. And of course, Victor Wembanyama. Now, my Sports Kings partners have been on this group chat all night. And Dustin Pfeiffer, who we have as a regular on the show, Dustin will come on and talk basketball with us too, because he covers the Charlotte Hornets.
Cool.
And so we'll get him on. But yeah, he was just giving me a hard time a minute ago about Victor Wembanyama. I said that Victor wouldn't, I don't think I ever said that Victor wouldn't be any good. I don't know.
So what'd you say? Because if you said that,
I said something stupid, I'm sure, but I have been proved wrong. I mean, Victor Wembanyama is the real deal.
We don't see people like him. I mean, literally.
So is Khalil with Miami. Who they look just like their brothers.
Khalil Ware.
Yeah, Khalil Ware from. I mean, don't he look like Victor Wembanyama?
I can see a little bit, but in terms of how they play, Wemby is definitely on a whole
different. But Ware's in the starting lineup with the Miami Heat now. So I mean, when Rick is getting the starting lineup, that means they're pretty damn good. Anthony Black, who played for Arkansas for 1 year,
played against him in high school.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he have all that crazy hair back then?
It was shorter though. He was 2 years younger than me, so it was like before he transferred to the bigger school that he got recruited out of. But
okay. So he's actually a replacement here now. Victor will not play in the Rising Stars because
I wonder why.
No, NBA Media Central is telling me that he's not going to play. I mean, he's probably going to be in the All-Star game.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why. So, he can't play in both because they're going to be doing that format tournament. That's right. That makes sense.
So, and then not only will Amen Thompson be in, but his brother will be in. My other nephew.
Asar.
Yeah. So I got both my nephews in there, right? And with the Pistons, Asar Thompson is going to be in. So it's going to be pretty good. So Black is going to be with the West, Miller with the West. And I forgot Jaime, is it Jaquez Jr.?
Oh, Jaime Jaquez? Yeah.
Jaquez, yeah, from
For the
played
Heat.
with UCLA. I know where he
Yeah,
played,
from Heat.
but he
Yeah.
plays with the Heat. He's been doing good. So this is going to be a pretty good team. The West and the East look pretty good here. So looking forward to that. But I think the big change here was we were talking about the NBA All-Star game and how it's going to have a new look. We've seen over the last couple of years, we talked about this with the NFL Pro Bowl, how ratings are just making them scramble to do something different. The East-West format that used to be with the NBA, they played defense at one time. Same problem with the football. I mean, nobody's playing defense. And so they're trying to do whatever they can. NBA ratings haven't been exactly stellar, but
I think they're about to ramp back
I
up now.
think they are about to ramp up because the football season, once the NFL season is gone, I mean, then, it's amazing to me that some people that like the NFL don't like the NBA and vice versa. I don't know how the hell you live a life like that by just not being a sports fan in general. I mean, I look forward to the Stanley Cup finals when they get around. I look forward to baseball and all of that stuff. We had a commercial, AJ, many years ago, and Dustin Pfeiffer was part of that. Because we would talk hockey, right? And I think we had some callers calling in. We didn't know a damn thing about hockey, and I had to remind people, "Hey, we're black. Why y'all calling us? We don't know nothing about hockey."
I would say the same.
So we fixed that problem though, and we covered the NHL like it was crazy. So yeah, expect us to cover the NHL. But because the NHL and the NBA season run
the same
together.
time, essentially. Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that I'm not watching NHL just because we're not talking about it right now. But usually I get on that when the playoffs start because the basketball playoffs are the most exciting things. You getting like 40, 50 games in 50 nights. It's nonstop action.
Facts.
And the NHL is exciting too, okay? And then, believe it or not, I do talk about that. So the voting process to determine the 24 NBA All-Stars remain the same. This is where 5 players will be honored, starters in each, and the fans have 50% of the vote. So that's something that you want to know. And I tell you what, so when we come back here, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna wrap up the show. I give you some more. We'll at least talk about the starters and talk about the reserves here on the Mean Gene Show, ESPN 97.5 H-Town.
You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we're about to wrap it up here, folks. Man, fastest 2 hours in sports talk radio here. The Mean Gene Show, ESPN 97.5 Houston. So, all right, we're going to just quickly go over the Eastern and Western All-Star starters. I mean, look, they've already been selected and picked. Ain't a damn thing you and I can do about it. They are done, but we did talk about how as far as the fans 50% of the vote, the players with 25% of the vote, and then of course the media panel, which I'm not part of. The media panel is 25% of the vote, and then you also have your 7 players that are going to be reserves in each conference, and those guys are selected by the head coaches. And this is why Trae Young would never get in. No, I'm just kidding. So, but Trae Young is not going to be a reserve. He's not an all-star. I mean, the fans would vote him in if they wanted to, but they didn't. The media didn't vote him in, but the coaches damn sure ain't going to vote him in because, it's just something about Trae Young and head coaches in the NBA.
They be hating on him, man.
Well, I mean, he did get Nate McMillan fired. And, he just doesn't have a good reputation when it comes to coaches. So that's why. But anyway, let's just look at these NBA, starting with the East. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be from the East. You got Donovan Mitchell from the Cavaliers. He's going to be a starter. Karl Anthony Towns from the New York Knicks is a starter. Jaylen Brown is going to be a starter. How about Jalen Brunson from the Knicks is going to be where he'll be out there as well. And then you have Jason Tatum. Those are your starters. Those are your starting 5 for the East. Over in let's talk about the reserves. Okay. The reserves on the East are Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics. Darius Garland will join his teammate, Donovan Mitchell from the Cavaliers. Evan Mobley. How about that? So the Cavaliers got 3 over there. He's going to be there. And Tyler Hero is going to be, he's averaging about 23 points a game for the Miami Heat. He's going to be a reserve. Pascal Siakam is going to be a reserve. This kid here deserves it. Man, the Detroit Pistons are a little bit different this year, and it's because of Cade Cunningham. They have really beaten some pretty good teams. Cade is averaging about 25 points a game. He is going to be a reserve. And Damian Lillard, man, there was a time when Damian was a starter, huh? And now he's going to be. So those are your reserves, your 7 reserves. Brown, Garland, Mobley, Hero, Siakam, Cunningham, and Lillard. Kenny Atkinson will be the head coach of the Eastern Conference All-Stars. Okay, are you ready for the West? Because that's all we care about is the West. We don't care nothing about those other guys. All right, so the starters for the West, Stephen Curry is going to be the starting guard there. Look, there's no way he does not start because the game is going to be played in San Francisco.
Right.
That would have been mighty awkward if he had not, been in the starting lineup. But he's averaging 22 points a game, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, believe it or not, this year. You also have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Oh, man, you talking about an exciting player.
MVP.
Look, can you believe he was on the Clippers team at one time?
Yeah. And got traded for Paul.
Yeah,
George.
I mean, just unreal. I think the Clippers are probably still kicking themselves for that. So he's going to be a starter. Oklahoma City Thunder, averaging 32 points a game. I think he's the leading scorer in the NBA, if I'm not mistaken. And Nikola Jokic is going to be a starter. I mean, how could you not get him in there? Kevin Durant is going to be a starter, and LeBron James at 40 years old, averaging 24 points a game. How about that? Almost a double-double, 9.1 assists. So those are the starters for the Western Conference. The reserves for the Western Conference, Anthony Edwards from the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Davis from the Dallas Mavericks. That's it. We got to get used to saying that, right? James Harden from the Clippers, Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Memphis Grizzlies, and, man, we need a drum roll here or something, man. Alperen Sengun, Houston Rockets, baby. How about that?
Yes, sir.
Is that not wonderful?
And they
That is
deserve
that.
someone on there.
Yeah, he's averaging 19 points a game. I mean, this man, I tell you, this guy is good. What they call him, the baby joker. He doesn't like to be called that. By the way.
Baby Jokic, that's what I know. That's what Kendrick Perkins, my cousin, calls him.
Yeah, he doesn't like to be called that. So, and I said Anthony Davis. Okay, Jalen Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Will Victor Wembanyama. So this is why Victor won't be in the Rising Stars, because he's a bigger star, averaging 24.6 a game, and it will be coached by Oklahoma City Thunder's coach Mark Daigneault.
Yep,
he's going to be the coach there. So that's all going to be happening here, and we're going to talk more about this. You know, in the weeks to come. I mean, we, put it out there tonight, because next week, man, it's Super Bowl 59, AJ. You know what we're talking about next week, man. I cannot wait to get down there to NOLA. I just know somebody's going to be cooking some good old gumbo.
most definitely.
Man, can we do the show with food in our mouth next week?
I mean, I'm not the person to ask. That's Joe George. Hey.
So look at no, we're gonna keep it professional. I mean, look, we managed over the playoffs not to eat on the air. So even though everybody else was just having a ball, but man, we're gonna have a ball too down there next week. Looking forward to the NFL breakfast next Saturday. Can't do much Friday night when you get down there, but because I got to get up early Saturday morning and go see the Bart Starr Award. That's going to be fun, but there's just so much things to do. Shaquille O'Neal's having a party down there. He's going to be DJing down there like he always does during the Super Bowl weekend. So it's just going to be so much fun. But AJ, we're going to have a great show next week. And of course, as I mentioned, big road trip for the Rockets. We'll talk some Rockets next week. We had to see how they managed to get by this road trip. Back-to-back games tomorrow. New York, Brooklyn, they get the same Brooklyn Nets again, Minnesota, Dallas. I mean, these are really going to be 4 big time games.
Yeah, we're gonna learn a lot for sure.
That's
but
right.
I mean, they beat the Celtics and they beat the Cavs. I feel like they're gonna do solid on this trip, because I mean, I expected them to lose one of those and they still played solid. So I think they'll do fine, especially if Şengün comes back.
4 games in 6 days for the most part.
Right, for sure. But they're young,
it's-
so I mean, hey, no one's gonna feel bad for them. And now the Rockets are hunted too now, because everybody sees them as a really good team now. So they gotta come with it.
Yeah, so they won't be back home until Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday, actually. They play an early game, so you can watch the Rockets and the Toronto play at the Toyota Center, and then go home and catch the Super Bowl. So look, that's gonna wrap it up, man. AJ, as always, thanks for everything. All our listeners out there, want to thank you. We will be live at the Common Interest restaurant located inside the Hotel Indigo in the French Quarter if you're going to be in New Orleans next week. And man, get ready for Super Bowl 59. Don't forget tomorrow, Media Day, and you can check that out on the networks to see the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles take questions from the media and just let you know what they've been doing for the last week, because this is a long week for them before they get to some nitty-gritty practice down there in New Orleans. So for Jacob Meadows, we're going to get on out of here and enjoy your evening. AJ, let's watch the rest of this Milwaukee and Memphis game. Listen to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 H-Town. See ya.